Hey, this is Brandon Store with Backwoods Boys Life. Today we're going to be making jerky. Why are we making jerky? Because jerky is probably the best dude food on the market. It has a ton of protein in it. It's really healthy for you depending upon how you make it. And as far as an outdoor food or survival food, it's probably the best food that you can have because it will preserve for a long time, and it's lightweight, easy to carry. So we're gonna go over a couple different ways on how to make it. I make it, basically two main styles. I either use a strip jerky or a strip meat that I actually run through a slicer or cut with a knife, and then the other way to do it that you see a lot in the stores and stuff is actually to shoot the jerky, which you grind up your meat and then put it into a shooter, a lot like this one here, and you'll actually shoot the strips onto the dehydrator. So we're gonna go over a couple different things, a couple different tools that we use, yeah, stay tuned. All right, so there's a lot of different methods to actually making jerky. Probably the most popular home style of actually making jerky is to use a dehydrator. That's not the only way you can do it. If you don't have a dehydrator and you can't get one, borrowing it from somebody, you can use your oven, which is a pretty good way to do it. A lot of them just put it on a broiler setting and they open the door. There's a lot of recipes out there that'll talk about that. Another way that you can do it is to actually use a fire outside. If you were in a survival situation or out in the woods, you can actually smoke your own jerky or dehydrate it that way. I'd love to be able to do that one of these days, but I have to make a different video on that. But basically those are the main two methods that we use to dehydrate jerkies. Okay, so what kind of meat are we going to use today as far as making the jerky? Well, what we found, and you can, like I said, you can take a whole eye of round and cut that up, or and that's usually a little cheaper. But every once in a while, I run into the local meat market, and I find this thin sliced meat here, and all it is just pieces of beef that are cut up really, really thin strips. It's almost a little too thin, but it comes pretty ready to go. All you got to do is season it and throw it on the rack. So it saves you a lot of time and effort on cutting everything up. So we go through a lot of jerky, so it's kind of nice to be able to shorten up the process a little bit. Okay, so we're basically going to start our step one now, which is seasoning the meat. And you just gotta have to follow your own manufacturer, the directions for the actual seasoning that you're going to use. You don't have to buy a prepackaged seasoning. I do, just because it makes it easier and I think it tastes good. But I know a lot of guys that will actually make their own. So there's a lot of recipes out there where you can make your own. But there's a couple. What I use is actually the High Mountain seasonings. It works pretty good. They have everything in there that you need. And when you get these recipes, you're going to get a couple different things it's going to come with. It's going to come with an actual seasoning packet, which is your pepper, and this one's actually a pepper and garlic. Then also you're going to get what's called a curing salt. It's a different kind of salt, but it's basically made to cure meat and kind of break it down, and helps with the preservation of the meat as well. So this particular recipe calls for basically a half and half of the actual seasoning and the curing salt, and we're going to mix them half and half, put them inside a shaker, and then we're going to sprinkle that shaker over the top of the meat and let that cure for about 24 hours. Okay, so we got our seasoning packet all set up, got our half and half blend in our little shaker. What I'm going to do now is lay the meat out, and you see how these come in a really thin strip. It's really nice, makes it super simple. So what I'll do is I'll lay this out on a plate, and that way we have a good spot to apply the seasoning and get everything going here. Come back tomorrow and we'll put them on the dehydrator. And the reason why you're letting it sit for 24 hours is you're letting that curing salt really work the meat, and you're also allowing that scent and all that flavor and all the good stuff to really soak in and take into the meat. So it'll make your meat taste a lot better. The jerky will just have a lot better flavor and have flavor all the way through it. So we'll basically check back in with it tomorrow. All right, so
I already had some of this meat that was already cured up and ready to go since yesterday. So we're gonna go ahead and put it on the dehydrator and get it going. Placement on here, it's not real hard. It's pretty common sense. You don't want them to overlap each other. You want to provide that room so that they are open to actually get dried. And you want them all to dry evenly. So with these long strips like this, you kind of have to tuck it around and make it work. And sometimes you can only get so many on one tray. Alright. And these are going to shrink down a lot. They're going to really get small. You know, these large pieces like this are really going to, it's going to get really thin, and the whole thing is just going to really scrunch in. So it may not seem like it's fitting very well right now, but in a very short amount of time, these pieces are going to be real small, real thin, and they go pretty quick when they're thin cut like this. So anyway, we got these all set up on here. We'll go ahead and fire up our dehydrator here. So we've made strip jerky already. We put that together, and now we're gonna do the shooter jerky or whatever. We're using ground meat. What I have here is some 90% lean meat. You don't want to just use like your standard hamburger. I mean, you can, but you really need something that's got like no fat. Fat is really bad for jerky. It's the only thing on the jerky that will actually go rancid. And so it just doesn't completely dry out. It gets like a pocket of, you know, just oil and fatty grease inside of it, and it will go bad over time. So if you are going to make some, like, use a fatty meat to make your jerky, make sure that you freeze it in the freezer. That way it won't go bad so quick. So what I'm doing here is I just kind of got this whole ball here, and this is a 93% lean of meat here, and I got my little applicator. I went ahead and filled it up half and half, same as the other. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of add this seasoning in. I'm going to work it, you know, kind of like you're kneading bread or anything like that, or, you know, it's a lot like making a sausage. So season it up real good. You know, guys will ask, you know, well, how much seasoning do you want to put in there? As much as you want to do. I don't really have an exact science to it. I just kind of do it so I know it's good mixed in together, and I know it'll work fine for me. I don't like a whole lot of salty, really heavily seasoned jerky. I use a lot of my jerky for like when I'm out in the woods and hunting and stuff, and I really don't like to have a spicy jerky that makes me really thirsty or too much salt in it. Because it's kind of counterproductive. I end up drinking a lot more water than I really need to. So, just mixing that all good together here. Get a little bit extra of this. So what I've got here is basically a seasoned, what I have here is like a seasoned ball of awesomeness. This is all ready to go, and we're ready to shoot it and put it into our shooter here. And this is, all this is just a caulking gun for meat. You take your piece of meat here and it's, roll it out. Put it inside the shooter here. It'll be kind of a pain in the butt to me right now. There we go. Looks nice. Get all that stuff in there. You can fit quite a bit in there. I mean, that's basically a pound and a half, probably, a burger. So, alright, we'll get on the next step. We got that loaded. We're going to go ahead and shoot it onto the trays, and I'll show you what that looks like. Alright, so we're ready to shoot the jerky now. Got it all loaded up into our shooter, and we're going to go ahead and put it on this pan. And something here that I'm using is, you can get these little insert deals for, I don't know, they just lay down for your tray. And what it does is it keeps some of that meat from going into the crack. You can see here that it's just kind of doubles your coverage area. That way, you know, a lot of times you have some of your jerky, your meat will actually fall through those cracks, and doesn't work very good. So it's pretty simple. I have this on the wide jerky setting. You get a lot more you just slowly deal it out. The more construction stuff you've done, or the more you do this, the better you'll get. You don't need to, get crazy about the length of it. You can cut them off however you want to do it. I just kind of shoot them as long as I can, wrap them around in a circle, and when I do that, I'm able to, get more coverage on here. So, you'd be surprised how quickly you can pick up 4 trays full of jerky. Just gonna keep working this around here. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and put this on, and I'll fill up the other trays as well, and we'll start getting this jerky dehydrated. And I'm gonna show you guys how it looks and what you're gonna look for, your consistency, your texture when you make the jerky. So stay tuned. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and check on the jerky here. It's been running for a few hours now, and we're going to go ahead and have a look at it. It's smelling really good in the house. It's one of the awesome byproducts of it. So you'll see here on these trays, and they're really easy to remove. This is the shooter jerky, and it's got a lot of grease and stuff on it still. It's tender. It's not quite done yet. And here is the strip jerky, or the sliced jerky, and it's a lot closer to being done. And I'm just going to kind of show you guys a little bit here of how you can tell when your jerky's done. So I'll hold this up close to the camera here, and what we're going to have is you'll see when it's done, it'll start to have little white fibers on the inside. If it's still like just the meat coloration, when you split it, it's not done yet. So you'll see like a white fiber that'll come out in the meat, and that's what tells you it's done. So, but that's pretty much it. From here, I just take it, I bag it up, and I put it in my freezer, and it will keep for a really, really long time. So just make sure you cover the basics. Don't over season. Make sure you cut out the fat, and you'll be good. It's a pretty easy deal. I guarantee you can save a lot of money on making your own jerky, and I think it tastes a lot better too.